Hey, I'm Pastor Nate, and welcome to Lifespring. Thank you so much for being here today. And if this is your first time with us, we want you to feel right at home. It is our goal to continue to have a positive impact on you and your family, and here are some great ways you can get involved to help us reach our community for Christ.
Each Wednesday from 6:30 to 7:30 is Fam Night here at the church. Adult Bible study, youth group, and children's activity make it a great time for all ages. We follow the school calendar and we look forward to seeing you there. We really are better together. Servant Saturdays are a great opportunity to reach our community together. Our next one is Saturday, February 15th from 10 to 2. Canned food donations and clothing donations will be accepted here at the church until 12. See Pastor Nate for any more details. A great way to get involved and discover your gifts and passions is to attend our pastor's breakfast. We believe the best way to reach families for Christ is together. All you have to do is let someone know in the Connect Center that you're interested in getting involved, and we'll take it from there.
So there you have it. And be sure to check out lifespringsc.org and our Facebook page for more events as well. Also, we want you, if you're new here today, to fill out one of these white welcome cards and turn it into our Connect Center just outside those doors. You'll get a contact from me. Some of our other leaders will reach out to you as well. And we have a free gift just for you today. So with that, why don't you stand up and let's begin our worship.
Good morning. We're so glad that you're here with us today. We're glad that you decided to spend a portion of your Sunday morning with us. And we just want you to join in with us as we sing a few songs.
Thank
of God's glory. It talks about His holiness and how He is worthy. In a world where people long to find something to hope in, we can tell them exactly what they can hope in through this next song, The Greatness of Our God. Sing with us.
this bucket of water is your financial situation. Each one of us will face different choices concerning our finances throughout our lives. Some of us may be struggling to keep our heads above water as we face debt at every turn. Others may be right on the line with no margin for error. And still others may have even managed to put some money into savings. Oftentimes we allow these financial situations to order our giving for us. We give when we have plenty and hold back when times are tough. The book of Proverbs gives us a powerful truth when we view our giving based upon our bank statements. Proverbs 11:24 says that if we withhold what we should give, we will only suffer more want. Our first inclination when we hear this is to say that it cannot be true. That if we hang on to all our money, we will have that much more money to pay our bills. But the Bible doesn't concede this point. In fact, it tells us that only when we give freely, not hoarding our money, will we grow richer. By giving, we will end up with plenty, and if we try and keep it all, we end up not having what we need. What a paradox, and what a powerful motivation to give at the same time. Do you trust this promise? Do you believe that God rewards those who give in any circumstance? This is the one area where God tells us to test Him, and it's the one area very few of us actually do. We test His mercy as we run off like the prodigal son, only to find that He welcomes us back with open arms when we repent. And we are willing to test His patience with our habitual sins, again to find that He is slow to anger. So why not test His generosity and see if He does not fulfill our every need just as He promises?
Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and take out the offering. You will go ahead and grab your baskets at the end of the room. You can pass it down. Several ways to give. You can visit our website, lifespring01052020A. There's a giving link there. There's also a box on the wall in the back if you want to drop it in the box on your way out the door. Go ahead and stand and continue to worship with me.
next song is one that we did last week. It's our New Year's song that we like to do here. And it's called For All That You Have Done. It's to a familiar tune, so if you haven't heard this one before, I'm sure you can catch on. And as you sing this song, just look back over your 2019, over all the years past, because you can always find something that God has done for you. And walk into 2020 with the same expectancy that He's going to keep doing that, because that's who He is.
God, we can look back and see the battles that you have won for us. And God, we just thank you so much for that. Pray, God, that you be with Pastor Hannes who brings the message. Lord, be with everybody in here. Help us to receive what it is that we need today. And we just love you so much. In Jesus' name, amen.
You can have a seat. Our 1st to 8th grade classes, you are dismissed. Y'all go have a good time and splash and deep in. All right, we're going to take a quick survey. How many of you, the most favorite part of your life is when you have to wait on something? Yeah, nope, not me either. Nobody. I absolutely hate to wait. Amen? I'm that guy, like, call it ADP, call it whatever. I'm a video game player, PS4. I love playing some sports games and stuff. And, like, while it's loading, I have, like, a game on my phone to play while I wait 10 seconds for the game to be ready to play. Like, it's ridiculous, right? While I wait for anything, I have something to do all the time. Anybody else? You always got to have something going on, something. Waiting is so hard to do, but it's such a part of life. It's something that we all have to encounter, we all have to do. We are starting a brand new series today. It is called The Hope of the World. And I want to say this with excitement. I want to say this with clarity. And I want us all as a church to say this with confidence. I believe with all my heart the hope of the world is the church. Amen? Amen. Now, some of you are saying, no, it's Jesus. Well, the church should represent Jesus. Amen? Right? We want to show the world who Jesus is. We want to show our community what Jesus has done in our own lives. And so this series is so good, we're doing 6 weeks instead of 4, right? We're going to go into this really, really deep, really, really big. And it's so encouraging to see that sometimes in a world where maybe you're tired of waiting for certain things, we talk a lot about that. Maybe in a world where you have lost hope in something or for something, we're going to focus the next 6 weeks on where you can get that hope back into, well, based on what you put it in instead of what you hope for. But it's when it comes to waiting, it's so interesting how society has acknowledged the fact that people don't like to wait. Today it's called the ultimate thrill. For you, what's the ultimate thrill? For me, it's like roller coasters. Any roller coaster fans? If you're a roller coaster, put both hands up, and let's go ahead and go on one. You ready?
How about water slides?
Water slides don't count. Water slides do not count as roller coasters, okay? How many of you, the ultimate thrill is holding the bags while everyone else goes on the roller coaster? Okay, there we go. That's thrilling enough, right? Seeing everybody up there, you're like, not happening. We're going to talk today about what the ultimate thrill truly is and where we can get that and where that comes from. But before we get into that, I want you to think about this. If you've ever been to like the Disney parks, or I was an Islands of Adventure guy when I lived in Florida. It had really, really cool roller coasters. I mean, Mickey Mouse was cool, but at 16 years old, you're a little cool for Mickey, okay? So my parents got us tickets to these roller coasters and different rides. And as you go through the lines at these theme parks, they know how much you, aka your children, and whoever you're with, hates to wait so much that what do? They put signs that are like, hey, if you're reading this, you have 7 hours until you get to the roller coaster. And then you're like, gosh. And then you move up a little bit. If you're reading this, you have 6.5 more hours in line. They know you hate to wait, and they know that you can't do what Moses did, which as a parent, when my kids are waiting in line at the fair or whatever, I'm like, son, I cannot park the people and just let you walk straight through. We have to wait. I would love to yell out, hey, 50,000 kids, my kid's most important, let him pass. But if you know, no other families agreed with me every time I said that, and so they wouldn't let you do it. So you have to wait. Well, here's the problem with waiting. Here's an issue that we have today, and it's in my opinion, and this is what happens when you find yourself in some type of waiting period. Waiting is the unavoidable reality that the things that we want now have entered into the not yet zone, right? The not yet zone. How many of us hate the not yet zone in anything? It's like, I don't want it not yet, I want it now. Did you know you can literally order a pizza online now and watch the meter that says he is putting it in the oven? It is halfway through the oven. It is now in the hands of the guy putting it in the, and we're in such a society, we're like looking at it like, why is it taking him so long to box up my pizza? And it's like 10 minutes away and you're watching the screen. People know we hate
to wait. Anybody in customer service? Anybody that works somewhere and like, why am I in this line for more than 10 minutes? We hate to wait, and we hate the not yet status so much. It's why we weave in and out of traffic. Have you ever weaved in and out of traffic for a non-emergency, and when you got through it, you look back and think, I don't even know where I'm going, much less why I'm rushing. Anybody? Amen. Me. I'm always in a hurry. I get that from my mama all the time. It's like a chill Saturday, and I'm like, oh, we got to rush. She says, Nate, we don't have anything on the count. Why do you and your mother always rush? I'm like, I don't know. It's always in a rush. How about this? Getting frustrated being told you're going to have to hold. Maybe you're old school and actually call pizza places to order pizza, like me, and you call them and they say, can you hold, please? What? You put me on hold? I got 15 hungry kids at this house right now. I got to get some food now. It's why we ask ourselves, how many examples of the pastor is he going to use before I get to go to lunch? If I'm going to keep it real with you, you keep it real with me. How many of you ever thought, Nate, are you done yet? I got places to be. Y'all are chickens, man. Hey, there we go. All right, it's like we don't like to wait. You're like, okay, we got the good stuff. Let's move on. Let's get past this. Waiting is hard. All right, everybody look down at your feet and say, toes, you finna get stepped on. Some of you are like, what does that mean? All right, let's try that again. Toes, you're about to get stepped on. Here's what my opinion, my brother did a sermon on this, and we were comparing notes, and I got some really cool stuff from what he did last month, but here's what we come to agree. Waiting is hard because it robs us of something we love the most. What would waiting rob you of if you're forced to wait for something? Think about that. Any answers? Any ideas?
Time.
Time, right? Well, what can we not control? We can't control time. We can't control traffic. We can't control these things. So ultimately, we lose our sense of control when we have to wait. And man, any control freaks in the house say, yeah, that freaks us out. Even if you're not a control freak, you still want to be able to get where you need to get, to do what you need to do, and to go where you need to go. Now, theme parks, pizza, those are pretty lighthearted stuff, right? Like, okay, food, fun, pleasures, whatever. What about some more serious stuff, man? Can you imagine if life took on the Islands of Adventure method and it gave us signs? Man, maybe here's some amens on this. How about it said, from this point on, 3 months until you find your spouse? Yay, thank you. I thought it's taking too long. From this point on, 6 years until your kids grow up. Ooh, we don't want that one, right? Like, I don't want to see that. You know there's apps, I've shared this before, that tell you have 319 days until your child leaves you for college and goes away. And I'm like, oh, no, son, no. How about this one? And I put this one, and I told my brother Matt, I don't like this one. From this point on, 9 years until your spouse grows up. Hope gave the loudest amen ever when I read that one earlier. Like, what's up with that? We all know that not yet can be painful. Maybe you're waiting on these things. Maybe you're waiting for tough things. And we're going to get a little bit more serious and more serious and more tough and more tough. But how about this, man? We all know that not yet can be painful, especially when it's major areas of our life. If this is you today, or if this is someone you know today, I'm going to ask you to really pray about how do we give hope to people that are still waiting on major things in their life. Maybe you're still waiting on that right relationship. Man, my heart breaks to think about people that maybe they're still waiting on that relationship, and maybe they're going to jump into something way too early because they're tired of waiting. Maybe, man, for some of you, I've been there, I know a lot of us have, maybe you're like, man, I'm waiting on the right relationships. I've had 95 wrong ones. When is that right one going to come? When is that going to happen where I find somebody that loves Jesus more than they love me?
Amen.
Amen. This one was really hard for me to put because I know a lot of people struggle with this, and this is a real thing, and I pray for couples like this and things, but I also wanted to insert a praise report on this one. But I think about how many people are waiting to finally see those words or see that sign or hear those words that you're pregnant. Maybe you and your spouse have been trying for a long time, and you're waiting to see those words. There's a couple that used to be a big part of our church, Graham and Nikki Norman. When people look at me like, who's that? I say, the little guy that talks a lot. Graham, okay, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. They were part of our church meeting years ago. They were part of our church when the wife, Nikki, was told that she's going to have a biopsy done because they think she could have cancer. And man, we went right straight through that hallway with her and her husband, and we went back there, and I see you every time, Miss Terry, so I remember us going back there, and we prayed over her, and she was cancer-free. The response was benign, the response was negative, there's no cancer. We praise God for that, but then after they moved away, she got the word, there's no way she could get pregnant. It wasn't going to happen by the doctors. And let me tell you, man, if you follow them on Facebook, and I talked to them today, I'm going to visit on Wednesday, but they will be inducing labor no matter what on January 13th because she is pregnant and they will have a child, which is so awesome. But I can tell you about those phone calls of not wanting to wait for that news. I can tell you about people that have gotten news and diagnoses that are not positive and are not great, and they're waiting. How about this? Some of you may be waiting for a job that actually pays the bills. Maybe right now you're just skating by, or maybe you're in a job that you can't stand and you're just waiting for that right job. Here's one that, man, we talked about this in 2019 a lot. You'll hear different times of referring to this a lot. This is just something that's prevalent in our society. But how many of us are waiting to